Here.
Vice Chair James Firstel, Commissioner Ellis, Commissioner Fletcher,
Here.
Commissioner Bernardo, Commissioner Barra, Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Woods, Commissioner Quincy Grant, Commissioner Quentin Whiteside, City Director Cappy Peck, City Director Andrea Lewis, Deputy City Attorney Simone Black.
Here.
We have 2 commissioners present at this time.
Okay. I don't see anyone online either. So, Simone, I guess no quorum today. So we'll just go through the agenda, but there's no voting, or we can just have discussions about the agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I guess we can't approve meeting minutes?
We cannot.
Okay. So I'm going to just go straight through citizen communication. I don't see anyone here. Okay. And then I'll hand it over to Leland for I guess let's have Leland have discussions about his report, and then for any of the other staff reports, of course, those are emailed out. And Mahogany, thank you for doing that. If we have any questions on the staff reports after Leland discusses his report, we can get into that. So, Leland.
Okay, good afternoon. I just have a quick report. These are the top items, and I usually open up with, are there any questions for staff in terms of any of their reports? Cannon or Ben or Director Lewis?
No.
Seeing
I don't
none,
have anything right now.
I will move on to my report, which is generally I start with the board agenda. So far this year, we haven't had anything, the Parks has not taken anything to the board, except for one item, which I'll cover in my agenda here shortly. But what we are taking to the next agenda meeting is War Memorial Playground. We are starting to use some of our bond money to do some repairs to some of our playgrounds and some of our parks in general. War Memorial needs new surfacing on the playground. And some upgrades to the swing set and some minor repairs to keep it going for a great asset that we have there. So I appreciate that. The next one also will be a architectural engineering board communication for Cromwell to do some design work for Reservoir Park. We have worked alongside Cromwell at Reservoir Park for a lot of work. However, this time now we're really working towards engineering and improvements to items from the tornado damage. We've replaced everything that was able to be replaced in terms of renovations or repairs, and this will be for the road infrastructure and ball field and playground location, which we're all excited to try to get all that accomplished in 2025. The next item I'd like to discuss is I'm excited that we've been able to apply for a CPRG grant. This is a grant, multi-million-dollar grant through MetroPlan. I've been working with our grants office, and a couple areas that have really come to our interest is War Memorial Park, Reservoir Park, and Murray Park. The reason for these is this is all about a carbon credit type environmental grant. It's all about planting trees and how to improve the environment. That's my understanding of it. And War Memorial has Coleman Creek, which is we've had a design to improve the creek there, and we are working with our grants office to apply for that grant as we speak. The other parks, Reservoir and Murray, are all about replacing the tree canopy there as part of the to repair from the tornado damage. Another exciting project is our I-30 crossing project. I'm still working to find a time to have our consultant Sasaki come and give a presentation to this group in terms of what that actual project is. They are actually working on a master plan to see what can be developed as a park in downtown Little Rock as part of the new I-30 crossing construction project down there for the interstate. We have very recently worked and partnered with the state parks, applied for a RAISE grant for this location and connections to some of their properties and others in the area. It was a total impact of a project, if we were fully awarded, is roughly $25 million. And so that did go to the board earlier this year, and it was a modification to the agenda. This was a very quick turnaround. We discussed it in a meeting with the state in the end of the year, and the application was due January 21st. So I did not have an opportunity to bring it in front of this board to discuss in any of the meetings. Lastly, some exciting news is the Little Rock Marathon is coming up. That will be March 1st. For everybody that's participating in it. I know that some of the races have already started to sell out, like for the 5K, I believe is sold out. So it looks like it's going to be a great weekend for that, and welcome everybody to town that will be participating in that. That's just kind of my general update. If anybody has any questions or other items that, plenty of other items that I didn't cover, but if there's any questions about certain things, please let me know.
Hey, on the, I had a quick question on the Reservoir Park. Is that like, we getting FEMA money for that? Or that help, or is that?
Yep. So just to get into details, Justin and I have been working on Reservoir for now 2 years. We did get some FEMA money. We originally had a Cromwell and others and another company help us price out the amount of damages to Reservoir Park. It was roughly, what would you say, Justin, $2.5 million? Yeah. $4 million. So we take that number and gave it to FEMA to say, this is what kind of damages. And there's a whole long process. We've also received some insurance money. Our insurance money was pretty minor and comparable to that 4 million, because our assets that were insured in that park had depreciated in value greatly. But that being said, we've removed all the items there that were completely destroyed, that we had structural engineers and all kinds of different people look at to confirm that. But we did repair the tennis court. We repaired the pavilion. Had to rebuild all the electrical, and now we're trying to do these last items, would be the ball field, playground, and road work. We had the road work. We actually took it to the board for approval. They approved contract, or what would have been a contract with Redstone it was Redstone, right? Yeah, to rebuild all the roadworks there. However, the day before, we got a letter from the federal government saying that they withdrew our funding for that because of different reasons, and we're in the process of appealing that decision as we speak. So.
Any other questions for Leland and his staff, or his report? Any other staff reports?
Can you give a little bit more information on you were talking about during the I-30 crossing? Sound like interconnecting, not necessarily trails, but just other adjacent properties, or?
In terms of the grant that we worked on?
Yeah.
Yes. So just to be more precise on that, when we met with First Gentleman Brian Sanders and his staff and some of the outdoor recreation staff, they were interested in our project, and they were interested in partnering with us and finding ways that maybe they could help fund some improvements and work with us to fulfill, the idea of this project. Like I've said before, anything in terms of a new park or anything like that would obviously have to come before this commission. That's why I mentioned we're working to have our consulting group come and present here, but we have not finalized the actual definition of what that park would look like. We've made it a long, long way. Even just this morning, I had some really long phone call conversations with our city attorney's office. If you understand the property, it's roughly about 15 acres of RDOT right-of-way property. And we right now call it the I-30 crossing area. And we will be requesting permits and easements to be able to build anything down there. So we're working through that whole process right now, exactly what that will look like. And then once we finalize that, which we're coming very close to, we'll be having a lot of public meetings to get public input, and we'll be presenting to this group, like I said. So that RAISE grant came out of that state meeting, and the state gentleman in state parks, Jordan Thompson, was able to work on that grant and get it applied in a very timely manner, working with us and our consultants on a general plan focused on trail infrastructure for the whole area.
It's one thing that I guess I didn't understand from when it was discussed prior, the 15 acres. It's sort of like a green space right now, right? Like between all the buildings where the old ramps were.
That's
I mean,
correct.
roughly. So that's RDOT land. Is that similar to like Canis underneath the highway where it could get redeveloped in theory down the road, or are there
Yes, you're
things
exact-
we're going to put in there to try to have it not get redeveloped if we develop it? Or
You're exactly right.
It's not state land, not RDOT land, it's our land. The 15 acre,
Whose land?
the 15 acre green space.
It's all owned by RDOT.
Okay.
You're correct. It's exactly like, I don't want to say exactly, but
right? No, I'm just
very
asking.
identical to Canis and the basketball court there. And we have an air right easement that we applied through RDOT. And that's what we've been discussing with them, is what exactly would be approved, what would not be approved. What are some different options in this area in terms of, all the above.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Director Couch. Any presentations? I don't think we scheduled anything for this. Yes. Yeah.
Good afternoon. It's good to see y'all today. My name is Karen Sykes, and I am the Park Ranger and Volunteer Coordinator for the City of Little Rock. And I have an invitation for y'all sitting there to Impact the Rock, which is April 26th, Saturday at 9 a.m. And Impact the Rock is the city's beautification day, where residents from all over the city come together in every ward. There is a project in every ward for people to attend. And for parks, we have 3. We have Fish Creek and Benny Craig Park, where people will be getting into canoes and pulling litter out of the water. We have Rock Creek Trail, which we just opened up earlier on National Public Lands Day and pulled out 6,000 pounds of litter. And then we have Reservoir Park, and this is the first post-tornado event that we are having, and we will be planting trees. So I hope that you will join us at Reservoir. It is the kickoff. We will have some speakers there, as well as we will be serving lunch at 11:30. And Director Lewis in Ward 6, it is Canis Road. That's all I have. Thank you. So there's a project in every ward. And so in Ward 1, it's downtown Little Rock, the streets. And then 2 is Benny Craig, and 3 is Zoo, and 4 is Reservoir. 5 is Rock Creek, and 6 is Canis Road, and 7 is the Animal Village. And I will get you some more information too.
I think we have 4 commissioners here, but I don't, that's still not quorum, correct? Is it 5 quorum or 6? It's 10 of us, so it's 5.
So we would need 6.
All right, just making sure. heading on to unfinished business, is subcommittee reports. I know Sam sent an email, he can't make it today, and he had no news for the, Parks Conservancy report.
I speak to that.
Yeah.
At our last Park Conservancy meeting, our board meeting, there was a large interest to work on that conservancy in terms of getting it more active than
Yeah.
it is, and they're looking for some new members and whatnot. But they also made point to say, you know, how can this commission and that conservancy work together in terms of you know, the same goal. And so they realize that there is a subcommittee here that is supposed to be reaching out to the Conservancy. So if I would, I'd just like to make emphasis on that. I think they, you know, Samuel should, or if he could appoint somebody from the board to attend the Conservancy next meeting, which would be next month.
You have the date, you know?
I do, I can look it up.
I will, I'm on that subcommittee, so I'll get with Sam and hopefully, I think it's me, myself, and Quincy are on there. I will see if one of us can make it.
Be March 5th.
5th, what time?
At 11:30. It's typically at Fletcher, the Fletcher Library, but let's just reconfirm that. Thank you.
I'll go to the master plan. JT's the head of that, but he's not here. Ken, are you on that subcommittee?
Yes.
Do you guys have anything?
I don't think since the last meeting, no.
I know you guys met last.
I'd like to report on that.
Yeah.
So just for, so people are aware, the master plan subcommittee has been meeting. The last meeting was right before the Park Commission, and we discussed our strategic plan for the next 5 years. They're reviewing that plan as we speak, and are planning on getting us back some comments. We were planning on meeting again today. However, because of some unplanned vacancies, we were not able to hold that meeting.
Hey, Quentin, anything on marketing in general?
Yeah,
Have you found a replacement for Brittany yet?
that's what I was going to ask. How's that going? Have y'all been, I know you had some candidates last time, and I just want to send an update on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I won't go back into the full detail of what we moved around a couple different positions. We were in the process of doing that when Brittany was still here. And so we had a data position that was empty, and now with Brittany gone, social media. We have extended an offer to a gentleman for the data marketing position, and we're expecting him to start, Angela's at next week, I think, the 24th. I typically don't share anything about that person until they actually come and work in the office. So I'll be excited to share that next month, but that will be filled. And then we are in the process of now, since Brittany has officially left, is refilling her position for the social media type area. So
Is that application out there? Can people
I
apply?
don't know, Angela, can you give us an update on that? We wanted to also make sure that the new individual who will be over that position will be in the process of able to interview and hire that position. So it's all a little bit of a timing, but that new individual should be here next month at this meeting.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Commission ideas, goals for 2025. My idea is in new business, which we'll get into, but anyone else have any ideas? I brought up the quarterly site visits, which we'll talk about in new business, but for the go of the group, anyone else have any ideas for 2025? Besides, just, I think we're doing a good job on the subcommittees. We need to get a little more active on the Parks Conservancy, and I'm going to talk to Sam about that. But anything else that you guys want to discuss with that? If not, we can we can go on to the next. Go ahead.
I have one item. I just encourage the board here again to produce an annual report and find a time this year to present it to the city board of directors.
Sorry, you mean the board like to present the board of directors? Okay. Yeah, that's in, they're talking about that new business too. So
That's in new business? I didn't see that.
Yeah, the master plan committee, we, I don't remember if it was the last meeting or the prior, but discussed sort of getting in, not in front of, but a little more hand in glove on the budgeting and things like that. Like this year, it's already gone, but I mean, so we can look at that in late fall, early winter, and then as the whole board look at it, and then
Right.
Write a recommendation to the city board, that kind of thing. So that's definitely, I mean, a goal for that subcommittee is trying to help get that organized and get that moving for the whole group.
I can report, Ken, I know you were asking about the budget. The 2025 budget obviously is completed. There will be a booklet that's shared every year. Checked with the CFO before I came. He's finalizing it any day.
Right.
As soon as that's finalized, we'll share it and definitely have copies here to share at the next meeting.
I guess the last two items to talk about is the extending Parks Commission time and a new location once they start doing construction on this. Do we have a timing yet for when we're going to start the new location for the Parks Commission meeting?
So can you speak to that?
I know Mahogany, and we're looking at a couple different options for future meetings. So I'm not sure exactly where we are on all that. But as far as timeline for construction on this project, it is out to bid right now. But realistically, with contracts and depending on answering some of the questions that are out there, I don't anticipate construction starting here till closer till summer, probably Mayish. So we've got a few more months.
Okay. Go ahead.
So then on top of that, thank you, Justin. So Mahogany did look at several different locations. Our biggest challenge at these other locations is all the technology that we have in this room. If we move to a community center, they do not have the in-depth technology and WebEx capability and all that. I do know the board is discussing that at the board level in terms of what it actually means to be present at a meeting. So that might change. And if that changes, then we would have more flexibility. But until that time, we can stay meeting here as long as we can. But then eventually, if we need to move out, I'm recommending that we move to City Hall and utilize their technology there so that we can continue to do WebEx. So 2 or 3 things might change in the time period, but we do have a list of all the community centers, which we were going to share, but I just don't think any of them are that viable of an option. If we did move to City Hall too, the other change, the time would be, that's open for discussion here. But if it assumingly stays at lunch, due to the nature of the facility and everything, we would still be able to provide lunch, but think we would do more of a box lunch. And we would probably do something to where we ask for your type of menu or whatever when you reserve at the agenda, when you RSVP. Sorry, thanks. So that's my update on that.
I brought this up last month or maybe 2 months ago, but we have been, an hour long is a short amount of time, especially when we have all of our commissioners here. And I know we can't vote or anything today, but I was talking about maybe starting at 11:45, just to make sure we cover everything. But does anyone have any objections to that? I personally need to get out of here usually by the latest 1:15 for other things. So I just want to make sure we have enough time. And I think adding a little 15-minute cushion could just alleviate some of that back end and not trying to go over one all the time. So it's up for discussion, but we'll love to love to vote on it potentially next month about moving it to 11:45. Any objections or anything? Okay. Okay. Can we put that on to vote for next month? Okay. New business. This is a couple of things. I would like to, I feel like we come to this thing once a month and we don't really venture out and see what's going on with the parts, but I talked about, doing, whether it's 3 times a year or twice a year or quarterly. And I've I've got some dates I've been kind of looking at of actually just meeting like at a late afternoon at one of the community centers or one of the parks, depending on the weather, and just getting a nice tour of it and just maybe just doing something outside of meeting here every month. And so just curious what y'all think. I was thinking starting it, since we'll probably need to vote on it in March, maybe starting it 1st of April and then maybe doing it in the summer, maybe in the fall, maybe we do 3 this year just to get it going at least. And maybe if it's successful, because I know when I first started, we had a little social hour at a restaurant and a lot of people came, and I think it was really good to get to know each other beyond that. But I think it'd be neat to kind of have it at some of the community centers that we talk about all the time. And I haven't been to every one, but I've been to majority of them. I would love to kind of see things that I haven't been to. So, curious just what you guys think about that. Maybe an April, summer, fall, outing at one of the parks or community centers.
So I hate to point this out, but we're going to have the same technology problem. If at a minimum, the meeting would have to be recorded.
I'm not. I was just thinking about making it just a casual,
Group of members from, we would still end up having a meeting.
even though it's a meeting, we have to have technology.
It has to be recorded.
So if you can help clarify this, when was it last year or 2 years
2 years ago.
ago? I did a social activity and we went to a restaurant and, had some food and drinks and whatnot. And we didn't record it, but we advertised it. We told everybody that we were doing it. Is that,
So a social outing where the commission members get together and do not discuss business would be okay. That would be fine. But my understanding is that what is being discussed is more of a, let's have a meeting at this location.
No, it's
So
more of just a social, and we're not going to talk about any business of the parks. It just
just to come hang out and get to know
just
each
come
other.
hang out and look at do a tour and meet some of the employees there, and that's what I was thinking. It wasn't an official talk about business. It was just get to know each other more, and yeah.
Okay, that
So-
would be allowable. It's just as
Okay.
long as no business about the parks is actually discussed and no decisions or anything like that made.
Well, I'm gonna find 3 dates for this year. And I know everyone can't make it, and it's hard to coordinate calendars for plus 10 people. So I will put together some dates that we can vote on in March. And the last one is, as Leland talked about presenting, doing a presentation for board of directors that talks about kind of our year review. That's in our bylaws to do this every year. I kind of created a letter that had some ideas. I sent it out to everyone. I know a couple of people responded with some ideas, but I think from a timing perspective is, if you have any ideas now beyond of what I send or anything to add, let me know now, or you can email it to me and maybe we can vote on it in March, and then we can we can present it at a parks commission, maybe in April, and then present it to the board over the summer. That's kind of what I was thinking. So in the email, let me pull it up real quick. But I talked about the summer playground program, the sales tax efforts, Canis Park, Jim Daly, center pool renovation, the subcommittees formation. I think, Kenan, what did you talk about? What was else that you mentioned in the email? I know you sent an email out.
The other Well, the other couple big, like, community-related projects were Pankey getting
Yep.
redone was, I mean, if you'd been out there before, it doesn't look anything similar. And then Kiwanis,
Okay.
with the infrastructure there being the walking trail and the playground.
Okay.
They're still getting completed, but I mean,
Yeah.
that all got kicked off last year.
I guess, Ben, when you looked at I mean, I was going to email you the exact same things that Cannon emailed you. I read it and I was like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore. So if you're okay with all of his, additions, that I like those a lot.
Okay. Well, I guess I will add those two, and then maybe I'll create a presentation that I can present next March. So I don't know if you can put that in the agenda, Mahogany. And Mahogany, can you email me like the parts PowerPoint template do you have that I can use? Okay. Okay. Anyone else have comments on the presentation for the board?
It might be beneficial to get the new person who's coming in as the marketing director to work with you on that, just so they catch them up to speed as well on the things that went on last year, kind of what I believe the board all agreed when the vice mayor, I think was her name, came last month, that she was really impressed by it and liked it. So
Yeah.
maybe that'll get him going to what we want to do this year. Like, we want
Yeah.
to do all those same things again, make sure that the, Parks and Rec are out there in the community, that all the good things that they're doing are shown to everybody. And that we want to put a real big emphasis on that again this year.
Are you asking for input for the actual presentation to the board?
Yeah. Like ideas we can put.
Yeah, did you cover budget or comparisons to other parks departments?
No, I probably should though. It's a good
Yeah,
idea.
a couple data points there.
Okay. That's good.
One of the things I've seen with some of the other cities we work with is, and again, it's sports related or surfacing related, but they were looking at instances, and like we've talked about Canis, if you guys want to justify adding more pickleball courts, there's not like a counter sitting there. It's, you drive by and it's always full. So or you think but I think something that would be impactful to the board, at least in my head, would be some of the things that happen out at Rebsamen Tennis Center. Like, so many high schools use that as their home courts, because I think Southwest is the only high school that has its own courts on campus in the county. So, I mean, that's a pretty impactful thing. And then just the leagues, the volumes of people that come from out of state. And I've looked at that before, and the data's a little, you can get it, but it's not usually in a good format that's easy to absorb. But that one the data's there. It's something that's countable. It's almost like the marathon data where you guys say, hey, 30,000 people came in, X% were from outside the county. You can sort of do the same thing with that location as well. And I think that's pretty impactful to the city, to the board on hotel revenues and all that kind of thing, hotel tax revenues and all that. So.
And you were speaking about data, just since we have a little bit of time on our agenda here. We've as a city have really pushed ourselves more and more to collect more and more data, and it's something that I've even brought up to my staff for 2025 is to do more in terms of our reporting efforts for that. But I also was sold by a salesman the other day for an AI company, and it was very interesting to see the amount of data that they easily collect from cell phones and different information. And they were able to look at our Resmond Tennis Center, as you were noting, and tell us exactly how many people have been there. Not exactly, but I mean with the algorithm or whatever. But what was even interesting more so than that, they said, we can tell you that after they visited Resmond Tennis Center, this group of people here, or this many people went to Cane's Chicken on University or whatever.
Wow.
And they can check. I mean, so it's just like, wow, can you please give me that data? So I asked, what would that would cost? He said it would be roughly like $30,000 or $40,000 a year to be able to have access to that kind of data. Another unique thing out of that was this gentleman, the salesman, didn't know anything about Little Rock. I hadn't like told him to look up anything. He just picked up the other location that he picked up on was the pickleball. And he did a heat map across the country of where people were coming to from that pickleball to play pickleball. And obviously there's not a large group, like from other states, but there are some from Texas or whatever. But I mean, but it's interesting to see, it's not just people from Little Rock. Majority of the people that are coming to play pickleball there are like from Cabot or like
outside the
all
county.
these outside cities. And to be able to show that and share that information to show, look at how many people are coming from outside, coming here to spend money and do these things and enjoy this. Why are we not doubling down on that possibility,
You're preaching to the choir, but
Yeah.
yes. I
Anyway.
could give you a whole presentation on why Rebsamen Tennis Center should be like redone.
Yeah.
I mean, just for the community impact. I mean, the
Anyway, the
socioeconomic, but yeah, that data is pretty amazing. And I mean,
really neat.
the data from CHIP, from the registration, the USTA, they used to use, you guys use Active for a lot of the bookings and stuff. USTA used them, and then they sort of finally rebuilt their own.
Active.
They rebuilt their own, and the data coming out of it that he had, I had him send me a couple tournament like reports, like who entered in the city and state they were from, and the data is just so clunky as far as like, this was a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, but one of the level 4 or 5s, which is a bigger regional tournament. I mean, there's people here from 25 states. And when you have one kid, there's at least one parent, if not a second, and then usually a sibling coming with them. I mean, it's usually not just a kid by himself when it's a, 12, 14-year-old tournament. So, I mean, yeah, the data's pretty crazy on that stuff. But
So we still use Active. Angela is currently working with Active to get it more robust for us. We've actually reviewing we just had a 1 hour or 2 hour meeting with them to review our stuff. And there's a lot of data that's really kind of outdated in terms of members. We have something over like 6,500 members in Active. And so we're looking at a process to go and clean up a lot of that data and make it more efficient. And I'd be excited for this new person that's going to be in terms of data should be all over that information.
Okay.
I had a few questions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm late. Did we do a marathon update? Isn't that next month? Or did I already miss that? I'm sorry if I did. I
Yeah,
did
we
miss
didn't-
it?
we didn't
Okay,
want- we
okay.
didn't
Well,
want-
I'll talk to you later.
We
then
didn't want
about
to talk about the marathon.
it. Oh, really? Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I gave an update saying, it is March 1st and
Mhm.
we're excited about it. We got a great expo lineup. It filled up. Yeah, it's,
Is it sold out? I guess was my.
I don't know if the full marathon, but I know that talking to Geneva, the executive director, that the 5K was on the edge of selling out, if not already. So
Sold out. Okay.
sold out.
And then my next thing I was going to ask you about, Ben, was the membership. I thought we talked, did we already talk about that already?
I was gonna.
Oh, it's already in there? Okay, great.
I was gonna bring that up in agenda items for next meeting. So, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I think before we get into that, I guess we're gonna have a vote on dates for those site visits, as well as I'm gonna present the draft, I guess, presentation for the board, and then I will hopefully we can get subcommittees. Hopefully we have everyone here next month to talk more about the subcommittees. But yeah, talking about that, I know, and I might lean on Simone for this, but I guess Simone found in the bylaws that commissioners, they need to be, I guess, voted on by the commission itself. And so I know we have 2 vacancies. I'm assuming one Cannon has asked to be or to continue to be on. I think your term ended in January, I guess. And then with Linda leaving, there's one vacancy and then one potential renewal with Canon. So I guess we would have to vote on that. Canon's already applied online. We've had a few other applicants. So I'm assuming we would put that in new business to vote on it. And then once we vote on it, it goes to the board directors meeting.
That's correct.
So it has the application, is it for all, is it the deadline been passed already or are people still applying to it? Do we know that?
It's open-ended. You can
Oh, it's
just send it
open-ended.
in whenever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
So it's
guess,
sort of like there's a pool that's constantly, hopefully replenishing or.
so I guess we'll have an updated, Mahogany, will you send us, I guess, for any additional applicants, will you send it to us so we can look at it and then we'll have a vote on it, I guess, in March?
Yes, now I did previously email
Yeah.
out the,
But if there's any
Most
more
recent.
that come,
well, I'll find out. Normally, the city clerk keeps us abreast of those things, so
okay,
she sends them as soon as she gets them.
okay. Okay. Dr. Lewis, before you leave, do you have anything to add?
Can you speak into the mic, Andrea?
Okay.
Speaking to the mic.
All is well. Thanks for the progress with, what did I say? Canis
Kiwanis.
Park, Kiwanis
Boyle.
is soon, and then yes, Bull, how that's completed and all. And it's just something minor with West Central out at the community center, but I'm working on that. And yeah, they got the dirt and all that you're trying to do with the ball fields.
Thank you, Director Lewis. With any of that, we'll be here at March 12th, Wednesday. I guess we'll be here again. Yeah, that's all I have. Anything else doesn't?
Yeah, I was going to add, do we have anybody removed from the board due to lack of attendance? Because in the bylaws, it states that when a member has missed more than 25% of all regular meetings of the commission in one calendar year or more than 3 consecutive regularly scheduled meetings, the member is automatically removed from the commission. So I don't know, I mean, if we've had anybody removed, if we have, do we know who those people are?
No one has been removed from the commission.
Okay.
Outside of Linda Smith's resignation. Next meeting, we do have an absenteeism tracker. And so we can make sure that is discussed in the next meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Can I ask one question? Just because this is more of a general, like we're not having official business per se. Like when this project for this community center gets redone, and I know you guys are still doing questions and we'll be collecting bids, but is the city's policy always to go with the lowest bid, or is there like carve outs for most qualified, or, they're actually going to be doing the work and not just hiring everybody else and tacking on 25% to the whole thing? I mean, how do you guys do that? Or what's the,
In terms of the construction?
any of these projects that I'm looking at here? I mean, there's several of them going on, so.
Yeah, so for design, we do a selection committee for selecting professional services. And Justin could speak in detail of that. He manages that process for us in terms of professional contracts for design work and whatnot, and recreation would do the same in terms of others. So that's through RFP, RFQ, and we have an SOQ list, which is a statement of qualifications yearly. There's all kinds of little different processes for that. The short answer in terms of construction is yes, low bid, most low successful bid. But there are different ways to go about it. I haven't been a part of a lot of those, I guess you could do like a design build or some kind of alternative design process, or request for qualifications first, I guess, and review all that. But in terms of pretty much anything I've been a part of, it's typically put it out to bid. And we do have different procedures or guidelines in our bid in terms of minority ventures and trying to get other subcontractors involved in the project as well. We encourage all that in terms of people bidding. We do have a list of bidder or contractors as well that obviously we wouldn't want to do business with again or have had bad experience with. So we're not just selecting, whatever and stuff like that. But yeah.
So to that point and it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, but say somebody did a project for, I don't know, rebuilt a police station or fire station, right? And it was awful, like just an awful experience for the city. Does that get communicated to you guys when you're going through the whole, hey, this guy got low bid, and then
Yes.
someone's sort of saying, giving them the X? No,
Yes.
no, that's not happening.
I haven't done this lately, but I know Justin might be able to speak to it. But do you have a process for that? When I was in the operations, we had a memo that we would send to procurement stating our dissatisfaction with so-and-so vendor, and they would keep that in some type of record. Do you do something similar to that today?
Well, and do other city departments share that
Yeah,
as well?
absolutely.
I mean, like
Yeah,
it's
it's all one
data-
procurement
database or
location.
whatever.
Yes, on most of the documents even that go out, one of the questions that they have to answer on their qualifications for the bid is, have you done work with the city? List projects or something like that. And it also has a thing on if you've ever been found in default or ever had your bond, so there's that standard checklist of questions they have to answer, and that will weigh in when we review the bids.
And then something I've seen again with other cities and more recently, because we're like the last guys in usually. And I don't know how to do it. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I don't know how to do it, but more and more, if it's a multi-step process or project, these contractors aren't anything but paper pushers, man. Like they just charge you 25% upcharge on everybody else's numbers. And I don't know if there's a way to one, qualify it or rubric it and then hold them accountable to it, but that you're actually going to perform some amount of the work yourselves or with your own equipment or your own crews, or your costs will come down. I mean, like, cause
Yeah, what you're referring.
I've seen some big projects go like we know what the number should be just based on like logic.
Right.
And it's like 2-3x. And these are other cities, other counties, but it's, when you're talking about a project coming in at $10 million that maybe a year and a half ago was 5, like it's not just construction, it's just people padding it and tagging on to it. I mean, it's just sort of crazy.
We do in the professional engineering side of things, we do obviously do cost estimates that show, where the project should be in terms of a price.
Right.
And so just to the general public to understand, if we had a cost estimate for a $5 million project and it came in at $10 million, we're not just gonna, default into, oh, okay, that's low bid, we're
That's
moving
good.
forward. Yeah. So I just want to clarify that, but we want to make sure we're just being, the best stewards of the dollars and all that. So there is a lot that goes into it. I mean, we do that end of checking. Procurement does. Obviously, when we take it to the city board, there's obviously time for discussion at those points. Citizen communication can discuss. I mean, there's a lot of checks and balances. But yes, you're correct in terms of there's different realms of vendors that are doing different things, and yeah.
It's just something I've been seeing, and when I'm at other cities or states and I'm seeing you're paying what for who, like, I mean,
Right.
how do I get that job, kind of thing. Like it just sort of boggles my mind sometimes. So
Is the Parks Department concerned about do we have any federal funding that we're worried about getting? You already discussed that too. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
you're good. You're referring to the grant, I guess.
I'm just worried about different grants. Any kind of money from the federal government seems to be paused or on hold or it's got an injunction. I mean, it's just a ton of different stuff going on. I didn't know if we were relying on any of those things for some of our projects. I know a lot of, because we talked about last year, the ARPA funds have all run out or mainly have. And so where are we on that?
Yeah, that's great. Point. Yes, there are a lot of federal grants that we have that we're in the process of. There's other ones that we've received some funding and we haven't moved forward yet or in that process. There's other ones that we just applied for, and there's other ones that we're in the process of trying to apply. We slowed down really not at all. We heard about that information and then we can continue to work towards our goals. And then we found that I guess some of that, I haven't kept up with every aspect of it or really don't want to speak to it, but I understand that I guess that's finalized or been discussed to be not something they're going to withhold anymore, right? But obviously, all that being reviewed is always a concern. I mean, we had some other monies. I don't know if you were here when I was talking about Reservoir Park. That was before this administration. I believe that's correct. And so that didn't have anything to do with that, but that was already some funding that was pulled back from us in terms of the reservoir roadwork infrastructure. But that was really another reason. I've actually, we received a grant for Western Hills that we're finalizing, and we met with the federal government out there just recently on site. They were excited about the project. And it was right in the midst of this whole discussion that you bring up, and they were very optimistic about it, and they were actually discussing other grants with us. So it's kind of all over the place. It's definitely a concern of ours, but we're still pushing forward.
All right. Well, I think that covers everything. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next month. Oh, you're welcome.